Are you not ready? Am I okay to start this?
What?
Is this okay to start now?
Sure. You know what's up. Save the drama for your mama. It's gonna get hot. Can you stay in the kitchen? I can't hear you. Chili be back. Who won last year? Oh, I thought you did. That's not a little accent you have there, Chili. Look, we're in a bowl. We're just going to have to eat our way out. I once ate a man's chili with some fava beans and a nice candy. Who will leave with the gold? Who will climb to the top? Who's going to make a chili we can't refuse? We're all going to need a bigger bowl. I've got 85 of these. My mom always said life was like a bowl of chili. That's right. The 17th Super Bowl chili cook-off coming here February the 2nd. Also, we're going to have, as always, our homemade cookie contest. Plus, hot wings contest. Because Tommy won't wingy. We'll have a mild award, a hot award with most original chili and most unusual name, and of course awards for the wings and the cookies, and the coveted belt, the Gene Franco More Cowbell, really exploring the space for the winner of the chili overall. And it's February the 2nd, 4 o'clock is the deadline. If you want to enter, 5:30 we'll have the game all the way live right here on the big screen. At halftime we'll give the awards. We're asking for $5 a bowl to go for a donation to the Human Fund. We're just doing a donation. We don't have to do that. And the biggest thing is bring someone with you. Say it with me. Bring someone with you. That's the whole purpose. This is probably our only outreach of the year, to be honest. And this is a big thing we've done 17 years in a row. Let's just invite people. And I may be opening the stakes later. I'll just have to let you know. Okay. Thank you for that. I kind of need to have that playing during the whole sermon, I think. Okay, y'all bear with me today. I've got this is new for me, so brand new. Well, it may not be new to you, but it's new to me. The title of the day is The Spirit of Elijah. Matthew 17, and we're going to be in some specific spots in the Bible so you can actually make notes if you want to. But Matthew 17, Jesus answered and said to them, because everybody was wondering who John the Baptist was. And then they started asking, who is Jesus? And so all these rumors were going around. And so he said, listen, because he said, some say you're Elijah, and some say you're the prophet, some say, some say. And he said this to him. He said, indeed, Elijah is coming first and will restore all things. And he went on to say that the spirit of Elijah is already here. So what we need to recognize is this, is that before God's going to do something big in the earth, the spirit of Elijah has to come first. Yes, sir. Are y'all with me in that? Yes. Next page. Well, who is Elijah? The first mention of Elijah is in 1 Kings 17:1. I've traced it back. This is the first time he was introduced. When he was introduced to Ahab, this is the first time we find out who he is. It said he's Elijah the Tishbite, and forever I didn't know what a Tishbite was. I just thought it was someone that was fond of tissues. I don't know. But I found out this time what a Tishbite is. It was the inhabitants of Gilead. Everybody say Gilead. And he said to Ahab, as the Lord God of Israel lives, before whom I stand, there shall not be dew nor rain these years, except at my word. All right. Y'all see how important that one phrase is right there? Just hold on, we'll get back to that. Next page. Well, this is the first mention of Elijah. All we know about him begins here. His first assignment was to march into the quarters of the most evil king the world had ever known. That'd be like you in 1940, just hop in a freighter, going over to Germany and walking into the quarters of Adolf Hitler and saying, hey, let me tell you, I'm calling the shots now. Wow. That's pretty serious, right? Right. And then the next assignment, next page. Well, see, before, I'm getting ahead of myself. I want to talk about these words. The word Elijah literally means the power of God. fight, I finally found out, means recourse or antidote. It's the thing that, when I'm left with no recourse, here's the recourse. Here's the way to reverse what has happened in your life. And Gilead means a place where they heap up testimony. Testimony upon testimony. So this is where Elijah lives. So here's what I got out of this from the beginning. I want you to listen to the next page. The first thing about the spirit of Elijah is that the power of God is the antidote that will restore everything on earth. That power comes from making your habitation, watch this, with perpetual testimony of God's faithfulness. If you want to know the power of God, then why should we want to know? Because to be the power of God, we're the antidote, no matter what's going on. I don't care what's happening in the world. I don't care about disease, famine, pestilence, it doesn't matter. The power of God is the antidote. And the way we get the power of God to the earth is we must spend time perpetually hearing the testimony of His faithfulness.
All right.
Faith comes by hearing. Yes. Not just hearing verses, hearing who He is, hearing about His character. Because I'm just sitting there listening this morning as we sing, I thought, you know what? I know one thing about God. He loves us. No matter what's going on in your life, I know who He is. I may not hear His voice all the time. I may not can trace His hand, but I know His heart. Right? Mm-hmm. That's good. So let's just read this again. The power of God is the antidote that will restore everything on earth. That power comes from making your habitation with perpetual testimony of God's faithfulness. This is why I know that in the Word, it's written in Hebrew and in Aramaic and Greek, and we get our English version, and sometimes we just peel off that top layer. But you got to look that in there. There's messages to us for this day that have never been heard before. Do you understand? Yes. Next page. Here's a special note. Elijah made God's cause his cause. I'm just going to say this right now. We're living in a time where you need to either, get off the pot or do your business. Right. It's time to let's go. If you're going to be called by the name that's above every other name, then it's time to take off the charade, take off the disguise, and just say, this is who I am. You may shoot me down and kill me, but I belong to the King, and I'm here on His mission. Elijah put his life at risk. His first assignment to march into the palace of Ahab. He put his life, right then the ticker started ticking. Because the minute he showed himself to Ahab, Jezebel was standing right there and she got his number. All right? Yep. Elijah made God's cause his cause. And if you aren't sure about it yourself, how can you have any authority? Right. If you haven't made up your mind about this yet, how can you pray with authority? How can we do anything in the earth if we haven't settled the issue that He is Lord of my life and He is my King? How can I act as His ambassador and bring healing and salvation to a dying world? I can't till I've settled it right here. Right? Well, I think this is the year to do it, right? 2020, get our vision right. Come on. Let's start this out this year up right. How many of you want to be somewhere next year that you're not right here? How many of you like to make a trip around the sun and wind up somewhere else than where you started? Okay, and this is how we do it. Next page. As we continue this into the Lord, then the word of the Lord came to Elijah, saying, "Get away from here and turn eastward and hide by the brook Cherith." Now, see, for me, that would sound like a demotion, Johnny. I just marched in to Ahab's place. I am the guy. And now I've got to go hide by a stream? And I want to tell you something. That's one of the things that I see stumbles people the most. Is because they think that God's on some sort of growth track. Mm. That He's about you climbing over to the next level, the next. You know what? You don't know where you're going. You don't know how you're going to get from here to there. It's not about the journey. It's not about your figuring it out. It's about you just being available for Him to do with you whatever He wants to do. He may send you the king tomorrow. He may send you the pauper to the next day. It doesn't matter because I'm not here to measure my success based upon how many people saw me do it.
Right.
There's this brook that flows out into the Jordan, and it shall be that you shall drink from the brook. And I've commanded the ravens to feed you there. In fact, the word Cherith means to cut. Two things are going on. Some of this is trimming away some of you. I hate to tell you this, but some of the things in your life, God's cutting the flesh and cutting the crap out of you that's just going to get in the way. The other part of this is it means to cut a covenant. I'll tell you something. All of us can rise to the occasion and do something special, but a covenant is every day, every minute, every second, all the time. Am I His just today, or when it's convenient, or am I His all the time?
Come on, that's
Next
right.
page. Why did Elijah have to hide? Well, number one, God said so. That's the first thing we need to understand right now. We need to quit asking questions like, well, I wonder why. You know, I didn't know your business why. If He said hide, hide. If He said duck, you better duck. You know what I mean? Number two, He needed Elijah to know that whether in the palace or by the stream, God was still using him. Touch your neighbor and say, God's still using you.
God's still using you.
You can touch it. She never made it. And number three, after the drought began, Ahab blamed Elijah and probably wanted to kill him. And listen to this carefully. Just because you're called doesn't mean you will escape the threat of danger.
All right.
If you're looking for something easy, if you're looking for something safe, then don't join the kingdom. Don't join the cause of Jesus Christ, because it put him to death. What do you think it's going to do to us? Well, I don't know if I can handle it. Listen, I hate to break anybody's bubble here in this brand new year, but if you think you're going to get out of here without dying, you're crazy. Either he comes back and we're all fitted for a pine box. So you might as well just get over yourself and go ahead and get your dying over with now, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore.
Come on.
All right, I'll preach that. Next. So he's sitting there and he's eating. You know, this is his assignment. I'm sitting here and I'm eating the flesh that the birds bring me, and I'm drinking from the brook. That's my job. And sometimes you can get kind of, I don't know, bored, complacent, place no value on this little assignment. I mean, I'm not, what am I doing? What does this have to do with anything? Start second guessing your calling, start second guessing your assignment. And then, on top of all that, the water starts to dry up. God, I thought I heard from God. Notice the water dried up before he got another command. This is my revelation. You with me? Why did the brook dry up? That was my question. Now, he asked me the question in my heart, and I knew he had an answer, so I didn't rush in with an answer. Kind of y'all. The brook dried up. He said, I want you to rise and go to Zarephath, which belongs to Sidon, and dwell there. See, I've commanded a widow there to provide for you. So he arose and went to Zarephath. Next page. Here's my question. Why did the brook dry up? Here's my answer. Because it had not rained.
Right. Yeah. There we go.
See, there's a little drought going on.
Yep.
No rain, no water. Now, here's my point. Don't you listen to me. It's possible that someone else's judgment is causing you pain. It's possible that stuff that you had nothing to do with is affecting your life and your walk and your calling. That is getting in the way and making you have to detour. That is the times right there where you're going to ask questions, did God really say? You know what? Don't you understand that is by design? And don't you also understand that it ain't all about us?
Come on.
It's not all about me. He's got stuff going on all over the place, and I'm just walking as he leads me through this thing. It may not be a straight line. It may not make any sense.
Yes. Amen.
How does sitting by a brook and then going to live with a widow for a while have anything to do with him taking over a nation? I can't see that. How does you tithing have anything to do with you, the healing in your family? How does your prayer life have anything to do with you avoiding an accident?
Come on, Pastor.
I'm saying it does. I'm saying that there were thousands of people that gave testimony that on 9/11 the Lord woke them up and said, do not go into work today.
That's right.
Did God hate the other ones? No, maybe they weren't listening.
Yes.
Maybe there was no fresh word for him to ignite so he could bring revelation to them. I think my Bible says it's not God's will that any perish, but all come to repentance. So these little areas of disobedience are killing our grand finale.
Oh, wow.
They're just killing. They're chipping away. God's wanting to know, will you do this? Sure. Because this is the thing. Sometimes the choices of others affect my life. And And they caused me to uproot or reroute to accommodate what I did not deserve. You're going to get bitter about that, or you're going to keep walking.
Come on.
That's good.
You start asking why and saying, why God, why this? Just get up and move. Just move. That's the next page. This is one of the cool things I want to tell you about. If you want to talk about the spirit of Elijah, Elijah was not perfect, but one characteristic followed his life. When God said go, he didn't delay, question, or ponder. He went.
There you go.
You'll know the spirit of Elijah is we're quick to obey. We're on point, we're on fire, and we're quick to obey. We won't get everything right. We'll mess up as much as we make right. But I'm going to tell you something. The longer we stand with our hands in our pants, nothing's getting done.
Right.
I want this place in this room right here to be so holy. When we walk in here on Sunday morning, we have to fall on our face when we come down the ramp. Because the glory of God, because everybody's here on purpose. We're not here scanning our phones. We're not here, just playing around doing and catching up. When we come in here, we're sitting before God because His presence is about to be released into the world. That's what I dream of, is the day when we come in, like Debbie said earlier, she said, I just had this dream about prayer going on constantly. I'm thinking, all it takes is somebody just wanting to do it. Somebody want to say, you know what, I really like my social life, but I'd like to see the kingdom come and His will be done. I'd like to see people healed, saved, delivered, and protected. I'd like to see the power of God released. So it may take somebody down here to put their skirt up their robe and run a little bit to get this thing done.
Come on.
Next page. Y'all still with me?
Yes.
So what did Elijah do? He went and did according to the word. And when he got to that widow woman's house, she was gathering sticks, heading back in the house, and he said, well, listen, where are you going? He said, could you bring me some food? He was a preacher. But anyway, so where are you going? He said, well, I'm going to gather these sticks. I got a handful of cornmeal and some oil. I'm going to make us a little piece of cornbread, and my son and I are going to eat it, and then we're going to die. Well, faith was all up in that house, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then Elijah said something that would get me smacked in the back of my head if I was a kid. He said, I tell you what, before you feed y'all, you make me a cake. Bring me something to eat. I'll just be sitting here under this tree. How selfish, right? What a glutton. Jeez, it's just one hush puppy. You're a rest. Now, what was he doing? What Pastor Jesus said earlier about sowing and reaping? Jesus came on later on and said, if you give him as much as a cup of cool water to a prophet, you'll no way lose your reward. He was setting her up. Come on, man. He was setting her up for abundance. And I'm trying to tell you right now that we're squandering our little bitty, and we're living by fear. We're afraid to give. When you give what you got, God's obligated.
Come on.
When you start talking about giving, everybody gets all clammed up.
No, you good.
When you give, God's obligated to do what He said He was going to do. You might not even understand. I got two boys back here. I know their testimony. That they've been, since they were this tall, somewhere in here, they've been sitting on my couch, and I know good and well I've been drumming them like, where's Chase at? He's in the nursery. Chase is another one. Those guys have been drumming them about what to do, about giving and trusting God. And right now, all three of them are doing so well. Chase paid his house off. These guys back here are just stuffing it away. During the summertime, Kevin wouldn't even let them run the hot water. Save money. Short showers with the sand. Going off grid. It's not to be stingy, it's to be a steward. You understand what I'm saying? Yes. And so she went and did, watch this, as Elijah had gone and done what he was told, she went and did exactly what he said.
Come on.
You see how that this spirit is perpetuating itself. So she went and she made him a little cornbread muffin there, whatever it was, and a glass of water. And guess what? As long as he lived in that house, that meal barrel and that oil never ran out. Now, you know what? If you want to get really funny, I wish they maybe had slaughtered a pig so they'd have more than just cornbread every day. They got some ribs coming up in here. But anyway, everybody say according to the word
of the Lord,
which he spoke.
Who's
speaking the word? Elijah is. This is important. Next page. Spirit of Elijah number 3. What does sitting by a stream, eating food brought to you by birds, and living with a widow and her son eating cornbread every day have to do with my original vision and calling? The answer is nothing. Mm-hmm. And this is the idea I want you to get a hold of. We keep looking for something to tell us that we're going the right way. The voice you need to hear telling you that you're going in the right direction is the word that he told you from the beginning. Until he wants you to do something different, he'll tell you something different. Keep being faithful over what he's told you to do until he tells you to do something else.
That's right.
See, here's the deal. I don't know how this all lines up. It doesn't make any sense. If I'm going to draw a flow chart, those 3 things don't match up.
Right.
But they do to God, and they mean something, because it's like in the natural, it doesn't mean anything. But the stream and the never-ending cornmeal prepared Elijah for the death of that woman's son. I don't know how, but I know it did. I know that sitting still and watching God provide for you. See, there's sometimes you may be out of work. Sometimes you may not be included in the party list. Sometimes you find yourself all by yourself. And there are times in your life where you say, oh, I just wish I had time. Then you get the time and you spend the whole time worrying about why you don't have anything to do. And there are times that God's going to say, I want you to sit down and be quiet, and I'm going to feed you, and I want you to listen. I want you to let your spirit build up, because I'm going to send you somewhere. I want you to go and trust me for the hush puppy, because when you get through the hush puppy, there's going to be a greater task ahead. But until you pass the hush puppy test,
Okay. Come on.
Yep.
you don't be able to raise this lady's son.
Good word. Okay.
What do you think's going on in Elijah? We haven't heard anything from him from the first day. I don't know what happened to him before. I just know he lived where perpetual testimony came from. I know that he heard continually the goodness of God, the grace of God, the miracles of God.
Okay.
But you know, you can sit in here and hear them all day long, but until you experience it,
Yes.
Okay.
till you take your first step out of the boat on the water yourself, you haven't graduated.
That's right.
Till you put these theories into practice that you claim to believe, they're not even real yet.
Yeah.
But when you have to stand on the word that you have been preaching yourself, that you've been declaring that you believe, and have to believe it yourself, buddy, that's when class really begins. Y'all still with me?
Amen. Yes.
Sir.
The death of her son prepared him to face Ahab and the prophets of Baal. All these are growing him up to a confrontation. All these things are preparing him for his destiny. I want you to look at me in this place. Everybody in here, you have a destiny.
Okay.
You have a God-given thing He's put in you at birth to accomplish. And as long as you're drawing a breath, you're not finished yet. And you may be saying, well, I'm this age, or I'm at this place, economically, or in my career, or in my family. You're not finished yet. And you'll know when you've done that thing, because you'll cry, surely it is enough.
Right.
You'll know you've hit it. I haven't hit mine. I'm not ready to go to the assisted minister's living quarters. Eat my tapioca. I got new parts. I'm ready to go. You know
All right. That's right.
Where are these suckers at? Next round.
That's right.
And so finally Elijah came back. He faced Ahab. Ahab said, well, here's the one that troubles Israel. He said, I ain't the one that troubles Israel. You are. Because let me say this, just a little side shot. The spiritual climate controls the atmosphere.
All right.
Whatever's going on in society lags behind what's actually been happening in the atmosphere. The spiritual climate. The reason there was a drought in Israel is there was a spiritual drought. Because we were okay with Ahab and Jezebel running things. Because as long as our bills are paid, as long as, we're not at war, as long as, I can still get cable TV, we're good. Because it hadn't really come through the channel and messed up my Super Bowl.
All right.
It hasn't invaded on my life. It's like this whole God thing. See, here's what we've gotten in the habit of, and just bear with me, is that we call on Him when we need Him. We call on Him when we need Him. We're in this 911 religion. We're 911 relationship. And we don't know Him. We just look for Him to come and pull us out, pull us out, pull us out. And I'm saying, wouldn't it be good to get ahead of the game and not have a 911 religion? But have an ongoing relationship that doesn't, you don't have to figure out what his number is, but remember what his name is. But you've been talking to him all day long anyway. He's been leading you around trouble. He's been leading you around landmines. You've been listening. Instead of going through stuff, you've been going around and going over it.
Yes.
When he got to the people, and here's the problem. He came to the people and he said to them, how long will you falter between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal, then follow him. But the people answered him not a word. The problem was that they were devil worshippers. The problem wasn't they were God worshippers. They were themselves worshippers.
All right.
They worshiped them. Whatever's convenient and good for me. I'm not going to take a step this way. I'm not going to take a step that way. I don't believe anything. I don't trust anything. I just trust myself. Here's what last week I told y'all. Here's what I believe. It doesn't matter what you believe. Devils believe stuff. That doesn't get them into heaven.
Come on, that's right.
Just because you've got a set of things you think you know. Let me tell you something. The only thing that governs this universe is the book of the law that's in your lap. That's what is in control. And if you want to get somewhere, align your beliefs with what's in that book.
Yes.
Next page. Elijah number 4. Oh, excuse me. Because this is one thing, this is another side shot. In James 5, Elijah is described thusly. And this is what I'll tell you something. The day we start running like Sambo around the tree here, I'm going to know it's time for me to go ahead. The day we get so filled with the Holy Spirit that we're on fire, our hair's on fire, we're running around because we can't contain it because our flesh is getting so diminished and nothing left but his presence. I've seen this. I've been a part of this. And you know, some of it was flesh. Who cares? Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what it was on top of anything else. It was passion.
Yes.
Passion. And that's how Elijah was described as a man of passion. And he was using this to describe how he prayed. Elijah, when he went to Mount Carmel, I'll just tell the rest of the story. Let me get to my next page, and then I'll tell the rest of the story. The fourth thing about the spirit of Elijah was a man of passion. He was all in. He was quick to obey, plunging headlong into whatever was asked of him. He took the next step without hesitation. The opposite of passion is indifference. The opposite of passion is indifference. God hates when we are lukewarm. It makes him puke.
Yes.
Amen. He'd rather us hate him than have no feeling about him at all. Mm. He'd rather us hate him than not have any feelings whatsoever. Yes, sir. And I'm telling you that this generation has had the feelings squeezed right out of it. You've been lied to. You've been misrepresented. You've been caught between liberalism and conservatism. Now everything, video images can be doctored. You can't trust photographs, video, audio. You can't trust anything to be the truth.
That's the truth.
People stand up and say they're telling you the truth and they're lying. Newscasters say they're reporting news. They're making it up.
Yep.
What do you trust? Somewhere you got to dig in and say, you know what? As for me and my house.
Yes.
I'm going to serve you. I may miss it 180 degrees, but I'm going to go as hard as I can go. I'm not going to leave any for the swim back. I'm not going to leave any behind for the fear that I might make a mistake. I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm going to make them going wide open.
Amen.
Because it will not be said of me that he was lukewarm, uninterested, and disenfranchised. I'm not going to have it said of me. On my tombstone, if I live long enough, that's what I want to say. He had passion. Right. Things mattered to him. Right. What do you want said about you? I want it said about you that it matters. That the kingdom mattered to you. That God mattered. That the kingdom of God being established in our world matters more than having a date.
Yes.
Buying a house. Getting a new car.
Yes.
Seeing the kingdom come. Right?
Yes, amen.
Well, the end of the story is that Elijah marches in there. This is the most incredible thing I've ever heard. This guy's 60 years old, so he's about me. I'll be 60 in September, okay? I didn't realize I was that old. I'm Elijah now. Wow. How much longer before I'm Methuselah? He marched in there, and he said, I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's just settle this thing. You bring all your folks out here to Mount Carmel, and you let them cry to them. We'll both build an altar, and you put the stones down, the wood on, put your sacrifice. I'll build the stones and the wood, my sacrifice. You cry to your God, I'll cry to my God. The first one that sends fire, then that'll be the one we serve. And so the prophets of Baal last year sat there from noon until evening, crying out to God, dancing around, cutting themselves with stones. Elijah's over here mocking him. I kind of like him about that. He said, hey, cry a little louder, maybe he's dead. Yeah. Hey, cry a little louder, maybe he's in the toilet. Yeah. That's what he said. And finally, at the buzzards, he sent to shoot off the buzzards away from his raw meat sitting up there all day. And when nothing happened for those guys, he dug a trench all around his. He said, bring me some water. And he dumped 55-gallon drums of water on there. So 3 or 4 times until it was all the sacrifice, the wood, the stones, and the trench all the way around. The sacrifice was covered and filled with water. It was drenched. It was wet. There's no way it's ever going to start. And then Elijah cried out to his God. And he didn't have to get the words out of his mouth very long. When the fire came from heaven and consumed the offering, consumed the wood, consumed the stone, and licked up all the water, just to let everybody know, I am the God of all gods.
Yes.
And you know what? When we put it to the test and we decide to quit this living with it and putting up with it, we put our foot down and say, okay, tell you what. You know, this thing about prayer in schools, let's just do this every year.
Yeah.
At the first of the year, I said, I'll go to the high school. Y'all call on, the God of this, the God of that, God of Oprah, and God of Tom Cruise, and whatever else you want. And I'll sit and wait and go. And when I call on my God and fire comes, then we're going to have prayer in school.
Amen.
I think I'm just getting my second win.
There you go.
Next page.
Amen.
Was 2020. And the question still lingers. How long will you falter between 2 opinions? Go and bring them down, okay?
Good word.
What do you want this year to be like? A copy of last year? I don't. I want to ask you this serious question. I'll give you an out on this if you can tell me that I have never raised my voice or clapped my hands or got excited about anything. If you have never once in your life raised your voice or gotten excited or shouted about anything, then you've got to pass. But if you've ever got excited about that little child hitting that T-ball for the first time, or that first time, you're wrapped up in your sports team, and every time they score or do well, you're excited and identify with it, then you know what? How can we dare be quiet and reserved and passionless about the Lord Jesus Christ? How can we be ashamed to be before Him and to rejoice and to praise His name? I just think it's the year this is the year we turn the corner as a church. That we get so fired up about Him that it spills over on people when we go to the market. It spills over us at school or at work. And people go, man, what happened? Did you make a New Year's resolution? He said, no, I just had an encounter with the Holy Ghost. Let me put my hand on you and watch them fall out at work. I had a little girl come in one time, and she was just really just shy and quiet. She was coming to our youth group, and she went to Brewer High School, and she said some guys were picking on her. No, this is before we had fire escape. I didn't know where they came from. She had to be from Brewer. And I said, okay, well, listen, we're going to pray for you. And pray for that little girl. I just pray, Lord God, angels surround her, go with her. She said the next day she went to school. It's on Tuesday night. The next day on Wednesday, she was walking in the hall, had her books clutched in her arms. And these boys came mocking her. And she turned around and said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. She said both those boys fell to the floor like they passed out. I'll take a little of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of tired of getting pushed around by the world. I like to show them. Let me just let you see what's really in there.
Yep.
Let me just show you the power of the one that I serve.
Yes, sir.
Well, here's the scripture that got me started. Next page. I have a Bible app. January 1, this is the verse that came in. And it shot off the page and hit me right between the eyes. Whew. Maybe it won't touch you the way it did me, but he said this to me, do not remember the former things. What do you think we should do there? I think we should not remember the former things.
Come on.
That means you're going to get an opportunity to remember them, but you're going to choose not to. You're not going to entertain those things in your mind. You're not going to let the devil have free space in your thinking and just sit there to torment you. I'm not going to allow him to come. I'm not even going to consider the things of, oh, where I've been, what I've done, good or bad, my trophies, my defeats. I'm not going to look that way anymore. Because here's what he said, behold, I will do a new thing. Who wants a new thing?
Yes, amen.
Come on, raise it high. I want a new thing, God. I'm here this morning. I want a new thing. Come on, receive this for you this morning. And then he said, now. Everybody say now.
Now.
Not yesterday, not years ago, not next month, not 2 years from now. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? And in the Hebrew it means, can you see it? Can you close your eyes and see it? That's what a vision is when you can see where you're going. You don't see it in the natural. But when I close my eyes, I can just see it as if I can reach out and touch it. Because I believe he's taking me there. Because he promised me so.
Yes.
And he said, I will even make a road in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. I don't care if it's never been done before. I don't care if anybody's ever even thought of it. If you have it in your heart and in your mind and your soul to dream and to look for this thing, I promise you, I'll give you my word on the blood of my son, I will bring it to pass. Now, I want to open this altar for a minute. I want to pray with some folks. We're going to get out of here about 12. But I want you to start your year off on purpose. I want you to start your year off in passion. I want you to start your year off in covenant. I want you to start your year off believing God that he is still faithful to complete the work that he has begun in you. I'm going to open this altar. If anybody wants to come and start your life, start your year off, then here's the time to do it.